Good afternoon, Columbia. You're listening to Capital City Sports Talk. I'm Matt Moore.
I'm Tom Benning.
And it is 4:05, actually a little late start today, but that's all good. You got the intro music and stuff. We'll be here till 6 o'clock. Looks like Jake Broom's already here with us on the internet, and if you would like to join him, you can talk to Tom at WUSC On Air at AOL Instant Messenger. That's all one word. Or you can give us a call at any time, 803-576-9872. That's 803-576-WUSC. We've got a lot to talk about today. Everything's going on. First day of NBA games, right in the middle of NFL. Major League Baseball is finally over. We're going to preview the Arkansas football game this coming week and a lot of college football to talk about all over the nation. Looks like Jake's already posted the Gamecock Challenge results standings after this week. So what do we got, Tom?
Actually, we've made up a little ground.
I'm liking that.
Jake is still in first at 63-17. He had a 6-4 week last week. You and I are still in second. We both went 7-3, so we're at 60-20. We have Riley and Van Haren still trailing mightily at 51-29, and the staffer of the week is holding their own at 50-30. So. Not the best week for the Gamecock Challenge.
But really, I mean, 7-3 isn't that bad.
It's not good though.
You're making money if you're putting money on it.
I'm
just saying.
I suppose
we did better than Jake, and that's all that
that's
really
all
matters.
That's always good news. Broom's reign at the top is soon to be coming crashing down.
I have a good feeling. I'm on a pretty hot streak right now, and I'm liking my position. I'm feeling good about it.
All right. Well, Matt, what's on your mind besides Gamecock Challenge? Because obviously that's always what's on Broom's mind. But what about you?
Well, I've been thinking a lot lately about this whole baseball thing that goes on from like April to November. And I was just thinking, did anybody watch the World Series? Who won? It was the Cardinals, right?
Yes.
I mean, seriously. Why has baseball become so boring even in October to where Fox has to make huge advertisements for the World Series? It used to be like everybody knows when the World Series is going to be and they're not going to miss it because it's going to be a must-see game like New York versus New York or, the Yankees versus anybody really. Down here it's the Braves. I don't know. There's not even a California team in it. It's Detroit and St. Louis, and nobody really cared. Nobody really watched. I'm sure the people in St. Louis were happy, but man, there's just nothing spectacular to it.
Well, I mean, besides Kenny Rogers, if that hadn't happened, man, there would have been nothing to talk about.
No, because it's not like it was even a sweep.
No, it was just. Well, and the rain was a big problem, and that kind of
that's true
threw the whole schedule off, I guess. But I don't know, man.
It's not like I do the schedule before the rain.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? I'm struggling with baseball right now. I like watching baseball, but it's such a long season, and it ends up being a boring World Series like this. Well, the World Series is seriously supposed to be the best 7 games or 5 to 7, 4 to 7 games all season. And that was just not the case. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about. How about you, Tom?
Well, I mean, are you going to go ahead and you told me before that we came on the show you actually had your pick for next year, which is fantastic considering you got none of them right essentially this year.
But I waited too long.
Just go ahead and enlighten me with your incredible baseball knowledge.
It's because
it's like
I waited
freaking
too long
encyclopedia over there.
I waited too long this season, and I waited till the playoffs to start making picks, and that was a big mistake.
This is going to be probably the dumbest thing you will say on the radio show.
That is not true. I have talked about live buffaloes carrying footballs, Tom. Let's seriously.
This is close.
Okay.
Wait for it, everybody. I know you're on the tip of your chairs, just hardly. Hilliard is rubbing his hands together for this one.
This is going to be a World Series that I'm going to watch, that Tom is going to watch, that everyone is going to watch. And it doesn't even matter who is going to make it from the American League because the team that is going to win it from the National League with new head coach Lou Piniella. New manager Lou Piniella. The Chicago Cubs are going to win next year's World Series.
No.
I don't
No,
really care what you think
Sports
about it.
Illustrated tried that a couple years ago, and that worked out real well for him.
I'm
You can't just go
I'm
out
just saying.
predicting things like that
I'm just
without
saying.
any rational reason for
Lou
doing it.
Piniella has been sitting down in Tampa Bay, just kind of waiting.
Lou Piniella's gonna punch somebody.
Exactly. That's what you need, man. You need a little intensity.
Sweet Lou.
That's what the Cubs need. A little fire.
No, the Cubs.
Oh, it's gonna be beautiful.
As long as Wrigley Field is
Go get
sold
'em,
out,
Cubs.
the Cubs are gonna suck. So that means the Cubs are
Bartman
gonna
won't be
suck.
around. Bartman
forever.
won't be around to ruin it. You won't have I don't know. It's just
No.
it's gonna be a
All right.
beautiful thing.
I can't believe we've talked about baseball for this long, considering the season is over now.
All right, and I am glad about that. Tom, please tell me what's on. Don't start with me.
Now we're gonna move on to important things.
Seriously.
And what's on my
don't
mind?
talk to me about baseball when you're about what you're about to
Right.
say.
It's gonna get back to sports, but to start off, I'm ashamed to admit that we play this video game called Guitar Hero.
Oh, you're
It's-
killing me.
It's awesome,
It
but
is pretty
you feel like a
incredible.
complete loser playing it. But anyway,
Especially when you get back from class and you're all alone in your apartment and all you can think to do is play Guitar Hero.
yeah.
Anyway, I didn't do that twice today.
Anyways, so that got me thinking about sports video games. Kind of with that same kind of interaction, I think, with the new technology that we're going to be having
Right.
with the PlayStation 3 I was reading about, with the NBA live game they're going to be coming out with. For free throws, it's going to be set up to where you it's only on free throws, not on regular shots, where like you tilt your hand when you're shooting the free throw to correlate with the player's stroke. Like, so Shaq's is going to be or something like that. Yeah, you probably needed a visual on that one for those of you listening on the radio. But
Other than the grunt. Well, you kind of get the picture with the
right.
grunt.
But I mean, all I was thinking of, back in the old school like Olympic track and field games where you're on the little pad, like pounding your feet as fast as you can.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what's going to come out with PS3. There should be some sweet stuff. One thing we talked about that one time was instead of just having NCAA football 2006 or I don't know what Final Four 06 or
March
whatever.
Madness.
March Madness. I don't know. I was thinking we've been talking about having a university 06 or 07 or whatever, where you're the athletic director and then you get to go into you basically to build a school from scratch. I don't know. I think that'd be kind of
It
entertaining.
would be incredible.
It would be. You probably have to play it once and then you would just be like, I'm exhausted.
Exactly. But you wouldn't really stop playing.
This is true. Hilliard, do you have something to say about this?
That game would be incredible for one reason. You know how you go start a dynasty in NCAA
Right.
07,
Right.
and you get so enthralled with it, you finish a season in like 2 days?
Right.
Right.
There'll be none of that.
No,
There'll
you'll
be
have
none
to
of that.
because you're
Because-
gonna have multiple sports going on at the same time.
Right.
And
Yep.
really, you're going to have volleyball and stuff like that. Like, you're going to have
Exactly.
everything. Rowing.
You can do it in real time, just do week by week.
Exactly.
Right.
You have
Oh,
a
man, it'd be
calendar just
See,
like...
this needs to happen.
It does.
Mark
I
it
don't know
down.
why it hasn't. Like, seriously.
We need to copyright this because
Madden has set up like this calendar thing, and March Madness has done it, and the football, NCAA football, has done it. It's just
Yeah.
a calendar, and you go day by day doing your business. Why can't you do that all year round with every sport?
And you could go down, make your athletic director go down the sidelines, like watch a game, yell at the coach and stuff.
It'd
like,
be incredible.
I don't know, Jerry Jones style. That'd
Right.
be sweet.
or we'll get to that later with new Mark Cuban rules in the NBA. But yeah, no, I think that'd be pretty sweet. You get to build all your new stadiums and things like that. But I don't know. That was what was on my mind.
I'm liking it.
Inspired by Guitar Hero. Probably not going to hear that too often on this show, except we're going to be playing it for the rest of the year. So whatever.
Hey, 2's coming out.
2 is
I
coming
know.
out.
Next week, isn't
Yes,
it?
and
I'm ready to go.
We've
I'm ready
al-
for 40 new songs.
yes, actually I think it's 60.
60? I was told 40.
Yeah, but anyways,
I don't know if I can handle
we
that.
need to focus.
Oh, I can't focus.
Focus.
now.
All right, you want to get into some headlines?
Yeah, sure. You want to start in the...
Just with whatever.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
This was on ESPN.com today. Kansas's basketball team, their starting center, Sasha Kaun, I don't know, Kaun, is out 36 weeks. They already lost their other center, CJ Miles, to suspension. Carolina faces Kansas January 7th. So, obviously, their center will be back, at least one of them. But still, I think this bodes well for the Gamecocks. This guy averaged 8.2 points, 5.3 rebounds. So he's not, like, integral, like hugely integral to their team.
Right.
But they're not going to have that same gelled aspect. That a full, with full health that they would have. So.
Yeah, I was actually looking at something. It won't affect Carolina or anything, but Greg Oden isn't going to be playing until January 4th because of a hand surgery. And he's supposed to be the golden boy for Ohio State, but I guess if you can get through a non-conference and have him ready for the Big Ten, then they should be in pretty good shape. Ohio State's going to be really good this year. Just like, Kansas is good every year. They should be pretty solid, and that's kind of a feature game for South Carolina this year outside of the SEC. So I'm looking forward to some college football. I saw that first game's in 10 days. So
talking about college basketball.
College basketball.
Yeah.
I've still got football on the mind. I can't.
You mentioned Greg Oden. That kid, first of all, he's supposed to be amazing, but I love that new rule they have in that you at least have to go to college for 1 year.
One and done.
That's a good rule.
Because some guys are going to, that would go in the NBA draft are going to go to college and realize, hey, I'm not ready for the NBA yet, which I think is going to boost college basketball a little bit.
Right.
The
I don't think
talent
that's
level.
going to be the case with Greg Oden, though.
No, I think
No.
he's one and done, but
He's
at
ready
least
to
you
go.
Mark
get to
it
see him
down.
for a year.
Number 1 draft pick for the Chicago Bulls. Just wait. And it's over. It is over.
Chicago. God. Whoa.
What a genius trade. We talked about this last week. I might just bring it up every week.
Is it complete genius by the Bulls, or
Yes,
is it complete stupidity?
No, they were like, wow, Isaiah
Absolute
Thomas.
100%
Somehow he's a
stupidity.
GM in the NBA. Maybe we should take advantage of that. That is genius. Every other GM in the league is like, man, why don't I trade away one of my crappy players who was decent in his contract year, who has a heart problem, for potentially 2 lottery picks? Yeah. Everybody else is crying about that.
Just kind of on the same note as Isaiah Thomas.
Okay.
First New York Knicks game against the Memphis Grizzlies. Torrance Kinsey versus Ronaldo Bachman. How much floor time does that duo
The
have
Gamecocks.
at the same time? Do you see that happening? Game 1 of the season?
Oh man, how about
matchup,
How about
perhaps?
warming up?
Warming up. All right.
They'll be on the court at the same time while they're warming up.
A little warm-up dunk contest, perhaps? Because that might be
Bachman
the most
would
excitement they get.
Bachman would destroy him though.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know,
true.
man. I don't
Torrance-
know. Back in
Torrance
the
was
day,
just
they used to go at it pretty hard.
Oh
at-
yeah, I
in the old
remember that.
Colonial Center. Because Torrance, I think, has a little bit more hang time than Bachman does.
Yeah, but Bachman's
just got the flair. Bachman's a dunker at heart. He's just that's what he does.
I think
But-
just because he has more hair and it like flails around, it makes his
that's a
dunk
good
look
point.
better.
That's a very good point.
We got a little Halloween break for you. Hopefully, everyone's having a wonderful Halloween, and we'll be right back on Capital City Sports Talk. I always like it when we come back from a break after cutting music short, just right in the middle of it, with, "Hi, I'm Steve Spurrier, and you're listening to WUSC." Nothing really makes me happier, Tom.
Hey, I do what I can with these PSAs. Try and make this radio show. I figure if the PSAs are horrible, then that just makes our show look even better.
That is a good point, my friend.
In that case, bring on the PSAs.
You're listening to Capital City Sports Talk. We're here every Tuesday. That's today, right? Tuesday
Yes.
from 4 to 6, and then you can catch us Thursdays at 8 o'clock on SGTV under the same name, Capital City Sports Talk. I'm Matt Moore,
I'm Tom Bain.
and we have Alex Riley, sports editor of the Gamecock.
What's up?
I think we're losing our minds in here.
Yeah, a little
Hey,
bit.
it's Halloween.
It is
It's
Halloween.
kind of hot in here. Turn that fan
It
my way.
is really hot, and it's getting dark outside, and that kind of makes me angry. Like, it's 5 o'clock and the sun's going down, and I don't appreciate it.
Ooh, 5 o'clock.
But anyway, well, no, it's 20 till 5.
Yeah,
Whew.
I know what you're talking about.
Anyway, let's talk some college
Let's
football.
do it.
It's that time. It's that time in the show. The first thing actually that I saw when I went on to ESPN.com looking for some news, some headlines, is that Mario Manningham is coming back to Michigan, and he'll definitely be at 100% for the Ohio State game, which is very good news for Michigan and very good news for anyone picking against Ohio State. That would be me.
That's great news for West Virginia.
That's true.
That's very true. Well, I mean, West Virginia is one of those teams going to lose either way, so West Virginia should be
What?
all right. What?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about
In the Big East. He's talking about somebody in the Big East is going to lose.
Maybe.
no, I'm talking about
They have to.
Ohio State or Michigan.
Oh,
is
both
gonna
of them
lose.
have to lose.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of those
All right.
teams is going to lose.
All right. You got the conferences confusing me.
Why?
Just continue. I got your
Why?
point.
I'm not confused. Now you're confusing me. I don't appreciate this, Tom.
Just continue.
Mario Manningham for Michigan in the Big Ten
Right.
is coming back.
Actually, that's the Big 11.
Don't get me started. in other news, let's talk about the Big East. Of course, you got the big matchup everybody's been waiting for, who's been following the Big East, West Virginia, Louisville. Tom, give me some thoughts about this game. What do you see happening in this one?
I mean, honestly, I see just West Virginia thrashing Louisville.
Really? Why? I mean, Louisville is an incredible team, are they not?
They've struggled a bit in recent weeks, actually. I mean, they don't have the weapons that I mean, if this was Louisville at the beginning of the season, it's a whole different story.
With Bush and Brom.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, Brom's back.
Oh, Brom is back?
Yeah,
Okay.
Brom
all
played
right.
last week.
That was his first game back, though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
wow, Louisville is a 1-point favorite.
I actually saw that.
That
on
kinda blows
Are
my
they playing
mind.
at Papa John or are they playing in West Virginia?
I can look that information up real quick.
I
but
actually, for some reason, I was thinking it was in Louisville, but that's just kind of a back burner thing. I thought I
But-
saw.
yeah, I think West Virginia. It's at Louisville,
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
but I mean, I really think West Virginia is just good. This could be a blowout. I think it could be ugly. So, I don't know. What are your all's thoughts?
I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. I think it's going to be a great ball game. I think you're right, though, when you said that if Michael Bush is there and Brian Brom, I mean, who's to say he is or isn't 100% being back? They might have rushed him back. We don't know. You know, nobody can know for sure but Brian Brom. But I think this is going to be a pretty good game, but I think West Virginia is going to win this. I think when I watched Steve Slayton play last year against Georgia, I mean, that was the first time any of us really got any exposure to West Virginia because we all thought, oh, the Big East is, done with Miami and Virginia Tech and Boston College leaving. We were all, bashing the Big East. All of a sudden they send their champion to the Sugar Bowl, play Georgia, and, I mean, they let Georgia get a little lead, and then they pretty much manhandled them in the second half. And, I mean, Steve Slayton, he's a heck of a ball player.
No. Georgia manhandled them in the second half.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, West
was
Virginia
Georgia made
had the big
comeback.
lead, and
Right.
Georgia
That's right,
came
Georgia made
back,
the
but West
comeback.
Virginia still
But
won.
Right.
nonetheless,
West
they
Virginia-
still
Right.
put it
But
to
Steve Slayton is what's he, a junior? Is he a junior or a sophomore?
Sophomore.
He's a sophomore. So if
from
he sticks
Hilliard.
it out for 4 years,
Wow.
I think he could. I think he'll win the Heisman Trophy.
Oh.
I really do.
I've got.
I firmly believe that he's that good of an athlete. He's just, you just watch him. He just makes cuts on the field. I think Pat White's a pretty small quarterback. He's kind of like the Brandon Wallace of football. That guy needs to eat something. But I think that combination is really potent. And I think Rich Rodriguez has done a fantastic job of building that team. And I think he's got the big – with that team, Rutgers still being undefeated and Louisville still being undefeated, I mean, there's no question the Big East is becoming they're not feeling the effects of losing anybody.
Well,
They're still a pretty strong
yeah,
conference.
and
so.
you're talking about Pat White. I would actually argue that Pat White is more important to that team than Steve Slayton. Slayton is a much better college football player, but when it comes
Right.
down to it, quarterback's touching the ball every play. And Pat White has had some of the most amazing runs. He's had
Yeah.
some more amazing runs than the best running backs in the country.
Yeah, he.
So,
he's,
I mean,
he's
he
done
only
some
throws
great
the ball
stuff.
like 12 times a game or something like that. But
Oh, who needs it
he's-
when you've got that kind of running
exactly.
attack? I mean,
so I think I have both of them in my Heisman list.
Yeah.
I think I had them in there this week.
and neither one of them win it this year, but
No.
in the coming years they'll both be candidates. It'll be a Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush kind of Heisman deal.
I agree.
All right, you had
Pat
some-
White's not quite Matt Leinart, but
Yeah, no, he's not Matt.
very
Leinart.
different players.
Matt, you had some other Rich Rodriguez related
Oh,
news,
man.
didn't you?
Well, yes, in my news searches, I saw that Rich Rodriguez is considering the North Carolina job after John Bunting. That's his name?
He's
Yeah.
he's not saying he's considering.
He's not taking his name out of the running, which basically, I mean, he's basically saying that he's considering. Well, it could
Yeah.
very well to
Yeah.
be get a raise or something like that. But seriously, dude, why would you even consider that?
It's one
job?
thing to make a lateral move in college football. It's one thing to go from, Miami to Florida or something like that. Something of that kind of magnitude. It's another thing to take a step back when you got a team in contention for the BCS title.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
to even leave his name in the running that long. I mean,
I don't
that's
know.
not, you couldn't say that would be a pay raise because the people of West Virginia know that he is not that
No, he
stupid.
could get a pay raise from West Virginia.
Yeah, you would use it as like a bargaining chip with West Virginia to try to get him to up your pay grade.
But see, I don't even think that he.
But
No,
West
but-
Virginia's not stupid to even think that he would want that.
Well, I mean, he graduated from West Virginia.
Right.
He grew up in
Yeah.
West Virginia. I don't even think he would really use it as. I think he's legit for whatever reason. I think he's legitimately interested in the job because I don't think he would ask for more money because his whole point has been trying to raise money to improve the facilities at West Virginia.
Right.
Maybe that's
Right.
what part of the reason why is that,
he's not getting what he needs.
yeah, he's not getting the facilities.
But obviously, he's got enough to put
To-
his team at number 3 in the BCS.
I mean, the fact that you could build anything successful with, you have Jim, isn't it Behind or Behind?
Boeheim.
Building the basketball team in West Virginia.
Right.
How do you do that? It's
No,
West
that's not in
Virginia.
Syracuse.
That's Syracuse.
No, not. There's another.
Oh, I know who you're talking. The West Virginia basketball coach.
It's like
Yeah.
something
yeah.
B. I don't
Yeah.
know. But anyways,
B-
Beeline.
Beeline.
Is it?
Is it?
I don't know.
John Beeline. Whatever.
Okay.
Kevin
Anyway,
Pittsnoggle's coach.
Yes. Kevin. Yes. The fact that you can build a team around players like
Like
Kevin
Kevin Pittsnogle.
Pittsnogle.
Hey, the
is
man
just-
is incredible.
Yeah, it is Beeline or whatever. So I don't know. I don't think. It just blows my mind that he would consider going to North Carolina.
Yeah,
But
has he seen North Carolina play this year? They beat Furman. That's their only win.
Maybe, I mean, when Rich Rodriguez came in, West Virginia was kind of that middle team in the Big East with, Miami and Virginia Tech and Boston College kind of riding on the top part of the conference. I mean, maybe he just likes the challenge. Maybe he's looking at this going, well, if I go to North Carolina, we've got facilities that are lacking. We've got a team that's, middle to bottom of the ACC. This year, definitely the bottom of the ACC. So maybe he just likes the challenge, and that's why he's looking at it. I mean, I can't speak for him, but maybe that's what he's looking at it for. Who knows?
Yeah, bottom of the AC. I mean, you got to consider Duke in the running and
Hey,
Florida
hey,
State this year.
Duke gets a vote every year. North Carolina didn't even get a vote this
That's
year.
true.
That's
well,
very
as long as
true.
we're talking about coaching positions, we can talk about some that aren't even offered yet, but they're definitely the speculation is continuing to increase. Last week I took Florida State, or was it last week?
Yeah, Bobby Bowden.
Before even thinking about firing or getting rid of Bobby Bowden. But okay, let's assume that there's firings at both Florida State and Miami. Which one is the better job to go to?
I'm gonna go to Miami because do you seriously want to be the first coach after Bobby Bowden? That would be my point. Like
yeah.
you're following a legacy, and granted, you have an opportunity to turn a team around because they're not very good. So you have a lot of headroom to improve, but at Miami, I mean, how long ago was Butch Davis there? How long has Larry Coker been there?
Coker's been there, I think, 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years. I mean, Coker's done some things while he's been there, but he hasn't established what Bobby Bowden has
dude,
established.
he got off to the best start a coach has ever had.
But if you
Ever.
look at that, then doesn't that mean he's playing with somebody else's players?
That's
You
true.
know what I mean? That's like
How many national titles did Butch Davis win?
well, that's a good point. So I think just not wanting to follow Bobby Bowden would be my rationale for choosing Miami. How about you?
I'd agree with that because I just asked Hilliard, who was the first coach after Bear Bryant left Alabama, and he was like, some guy for 2 years. I was like, yeah, that's basically what it would sum up to be. If you're going to go, huh? Yeah, Zook at Florida. Ron Zook at Florida after Spurrier leaves. I
That's
mean,
a good point.
this you don't want to follow. You can't say you don't want to follow a legend because if Bowden were leaving on a year when he was the ACC champion and had gone say 10-2 in the regular season, you might want to follow Bobby Bowden because that means he's left you with a pretty decent talent pool. But right now, Florida State's 4-4,
Right.
and
Well, but I don't think it's a matter of talent.
it's not.
I mean, it's just the matter that I think Bobby Bowden should stay there as long as, like I said, as long as he wants. But I still think that the talent is there. They're just not putting it together.
Well, the talent's there at Florida State too. I mean,
Yeah,
at Miami
at both
too.
schools,
You know,
right.
at both schools. I mean, you just drop that name and anybody wants to go. I mean, there's just certain schools that you go to any kid anywhere in the country and you say, hey, we want you to play for, Alabama, Miami, Florida, Florida State, Southern Cal. You drop those names around, Michigan, Ohio State. You drop those names and a kid will come calling. A kid will say, hey, that sounds like a good deal to me. And the best kids get the offers from those kind of schools. So it's not a question of is there talent on that team. We know there's talent on that team. There's no discipline on that team. There's some problem internally that's not getting fixed, and it's causing them to have, mediocre to potentially awful seasons. But, I think I would rather follow Coker at Miami. But Coker's had success. That's the thing. I mean, it would be you just can't fire a guy off of one season. But if they're going to, then I guess you have to.
That's
I guess
true.
you have to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what have you said, Tom? Where you would end up?
I mean, I personally would go to Florida State. I mean, just mainly because at Miami you have to deal with all that garbage at Miami about the U and it's a given that you just basically get all the lowlifes in college football to go to your university. I mean, I guess you could revitalize that image. I mean, it kind of under Butch Davis, I guess, Butch Davis and the beginning of the Larry Coker era.
Administration,
When you had guys like, I haven't really heard much bad about Willis McGahee or
Ken Dorsey.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, even Santana Moss. I mean, he had that attitude, but he's a pretty tame player in the NFL.
A lot of players
Right.
had the attitude,
Right, but then when you cross the line into just doing
Right.
stupid stuff,
Right.
and
right.
granted, not like Florida State's, a bastion of great people and players and personalities, 3 Ps there, like
Florida
that.
State criminals.
alliteration, I like
Right.
Criminals.
Right, so, but I mean, I think that image is easier reclaimed at Florida State than it is at Miami. I think it's a given at Miami that basically they're just going to be.
Yeah.
Either program you go to, the moment you set foot, in your office, you're automatically thrown into the national spotlight. It's not an
yeah.
easy job either way.
Expectations are going to be real high.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Any new coach that goes into either one of those schools, if those jobs open up at the end of the year, is instantly going to be the newest celebrity in the state of Florida, and is instantly going to have a lot of expectations put on them. So it's not an easy job either way. It's just a question of what can you do with it after the shambles it's been left in after this year. And
All right.
the good coach, if both of them come open, the good coach will rise and the bad coach will fall. Maybe 2 good coaches will rise. Who knows?
That's true.
We don't beat Tennessee, and we don't have to worry about winning the SEC this year. We can go back to trying to win 6, 7, or 8 or whatever, and try to have an excellent season.
I guess officially this is kind of a quote rivalry game for us because Arkansas is our Western
rival.
Division team that we always play.
92.
Right, Bradley just pointed out that we came at the same time. So Jordan and I, we have a trophy, which is a little pig that we started up last year. I'm owning the pig right now, so
Nice.
keeping the trophy. I have a feeling this year. Whoa, almost gave away my pick there.
Oh,
All right, so you
oh.
guys want to go ahead and get into the
Watch
devil's
yourself.
advocate?
Yeah, you're gonna arbitrate for us
Yes.
this week. All right, man, you get us started, and
All right,
we'll start talking.
Let's go with this is what Spurrier was talking about last night at practice. Let's talk about Arkansas's running backs against the linebackers.
Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that there's really nothing South Carolina can do about Arkansas's running backs. McFadden has 142 carries for 849 yards. That's 5.8 yards a carry. That's almost 6 yards every single time he's touching the ball. He's got 8 touchdowns on the season, which sounds a little low, but they've been winning games. Like he hasn't had to be in like Louisiana Monroe. He's playing quarterback for goodness sakes. And 8 touchdowns is still nothing really to scoff at. So he's right at 102 yards a game. And Felix Jones has 67 carries for 661 yards. That is 9.9 yards a carry. That's unheard of on 67 carries. It's one thing to like carry the ball 10 times for 100 yards. I mean, that's a great game. But this is 67 carries for 10 yards a carry. He's got 3 touchdowns. He's getting 82.6 yards a game. He's also the most dangerous return man, one of the most dangerous return men in the SEC. He had a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown earlier this year. I don't see South Carolina doing a whole lot, especially with that offensive line.
All right, Riley, what I want to know is
Why will USC linebackers stop the running game?
no. Why or how much is Jasper going to put the hot sauce on Darren McFadden?
He's gonna.
Tom,
have,
what did I say about hot sauce?
He's gonna have a case of hot sauce. All right.
Is what we're talking about? Texas Pete, Louisiana
Oh
style?
no, we're talking about
Tabasco.
We're
or-
talking about the stuff that's made with the habanero peppers. Okay. All right, we're talking about stuff that puts you in the hospital. No, this is the one matchup on the field. I can't believe you guys started with the best matchup on the field, or the one that's most crucial to the
Hey,
game.
you know,
That's amazing.
it's kind of the.
you guys are going in reverse.
Hey,
order.
we just
Anyway.
like getting it all out early.
I understand. Anyway, Arkansas's running game is its offense. I mean, it's basically what it comes down to. And we can discuss every facet you want about how that running game gets started, but well, Jake Broom said something stupid. didn't he?
Jake Broom said Jasper is at Sam's Club as we speak with a forklift picking up the hot sauce for this weekend.
I like it. Yes, Broom, we finally agree on something.
Oh, my
All
God.
All right, so continue.
Anyway, this is going to be a very intriguing matchup. The thing about this matchup is the linebackers for Carolina haven't faced anything like this, nor will they face anything like this again.
Whoa.
With the two-headed monster at running back,
Clemson?
maybe.
Okay.
Not like
definitely
this.
argue.
Statistically
we'll talk
wise.
about that in a couple weeks.
Whatever. Statistically wise, not like this. Okay, statistically. All right. Is any one of your running backs rushing for 10 yards a clip?
No, but
Okay,
James
then-
Davis is at
Okay.
1,000
All right,
yards.
okay.
Okay.
Well,
10
continue.
yard-
All right,
Don't get
continue.
me started, Riley.
Thank you. Anyway,
Dang.
I think that Jasper Brinkley and the entire wrecking crew that is the linebackers, this is not going to be like last week where we were sending linebackers up on blitzes to shut down the quarterback. This is going to be a much more everybody stay in the zone, everybody make sure that these running backs don't come out. We're going to be stacking, 8, 9 guys in the box. That's going to be the big thing this week is that we're just not going to have to let anybody run. I think Carolina's linebackers match up a little better than people think. I think guys like Brinkley and Marvin Sapp and guys like that are going to be pretty good at stopping the run, especially when Arkansas's offense is as one-dimensional as it is. Even though it's got 2 facets to the one dimension, it's still pretty one-dimensional. But I think this is going to be a great matchup. Don't get me wrong. They're going to get 100 yards. One of these two guys, if not both of them, is going to get 100 yards. But they're not going to get 180 yards. They're not going to get 170 yards. Maybe 120, maybe 130 at the best.
All right.
So I think it's not a question of can you stop them, it's a question of can you limit them.
Okay.
And that's the big thing. Can you limit them?
All right, just a couple more Jake Broom comments. Apparently Jake has heard through the grapevine that Jasper has asked the SEC for special permission to wear buttless chaps and a cowboy hat over his uniform because Texas Pete ain't got nothing on him. And with that, I am tempted to give the edge here to South Carolina, but personally I think, the linebackers did an excellent job of kind of slowing down Kenny Irons against Auburn. But I think Kenny Irons is vastly overrated personally.
Yeah,
I think
I agree.
These are 2 backs that South Carolina has never seen the quality of them so far this season. I definitely have to give the edge to Arkansas in this situation. But I don't think that's really a surprise to anybody.
Well,
Hurt-
and what
I'm really
Riley was saying about starting with this matchup, I would disagree with you almost in saying that this is the most pivotal matchup.
Right.
Because I would concede Arkansas's run and concede South Carolina's pass, and whichever one's whether
Well, we're going to get to that. Let's go to the next
but I'm
matchup.
just saying. So
Next
I think it's
matchup.
going to
All
come
right.
down to something else deciding the game.
All right, we got Mitch Mustaine and company as wide receivers versus Fred Bennett and company in the backfield. Matt, lay it on me.
Mitch Mustaine is he's had a pretty solid percentage-wise. He's over 50% passing. He's thrown a few interceptions, but still found the end zone 10 times. 853 yards, about 106 per game, 4 more than McFadden has rushed for. But he really hasn't had to be a phenomenal quarterback because of that running game. He's going to have plenty of time because of the Hogs up front, and I see him having a decent game, but he's not going to have to do much. So
You're right when you say that Mitch Mustang hasn't had to do much. He's doing just enough to prevent Arkansas from losing. That's all they ask him. That's all they want him to do. So Carolina's secondary on this one is not. They're not going to be tested like they were last week with Eric Ainge. They're not going to be challenged like they were last week. Because I think they did a pretty good job last week matching up against. Other than the big 62-yarder, I thought they did pretty decent. Besides, the tipped ball in the end zone. Let's not go there. But anyway, I think that Carolina's secondary against the Arkansas receiving core and Mitch Mustang, here's the thing. Carolina's got some of the best receivers in the SEC, but just like, I said that they haven't faced a running duo like this, they haven't faced a guy named Marcus Monk either. And if he's the most underutilized player in the SEC, in my opinion, I'm not trying to give you any points here, man.
He's got 25 catches for 450 yards, 5 touchdowns.
He's the most There's no reason for a guy 6'5", weighing what he does, as physical as he is, to have those type of numbers. He should have 1,000 yards by this time of the season, in my opinion. He should have at least 5-6 touchdowns. He's got hardly anything. 5. He's got 5. He should have. He should probably have a couple more.
He's got half of the touchdowns that Arkansas's had.
Right. So Arkansas just doesn't rely enough on the pass for this to be a crucial matchup. I think this is going to be something kind of like we saw at Wofford. Not that scheme, but that there's only going to be 1 or 2 guys that are going to be playing on the corners. And you know what? If you give up 10 completions in the game, they're not going to go for more than 20 yards. There's not going to be one that's going to break loose for much more than 30, 40 yards. So I don't think this is as key a matchup as everybody would like to play it up to be, with the name Marcus Monk and the youthfulness of their quarterback. So of Mustang in at quarterback. But I think Carolina wins this battle, in my opinion, just because they're the better secondary, and Arkansas just doesn't rely enough on the pass, not experienced enough with the pass in order to win this battle.
All right. I think both of you made good points. I agree, Marcus Monk. He's definitely good enough to keep the South Carolina defense honest. But, I was kind of interested last week against Tennessee is that they had Fred at safety.
Yeah.
Which was an interesting look. So that opens the whole,
Look for that again.
Yeah, Munnerlyn and Carlos on the corners with Fred at kind of a third safety.
The thing about Carolina's corners with Munnerlyn and Carlos, you're not going to match up one of those guys with Marcus Monk.
Right.
Because
you got to put Fred in.
You ever seen Little Giants where the kid's holding on to the guy's shirt tail and he drags him 20 yards? That'll be what it'll look like. Carlos Thomas face first, down in the grass, being drugged 20 yards into the end zone if they match that up. But I think Fred Bennett at safety coming up to help stop the run is a positive look.
Right. I think just maybe because the Arkansas underutilizes their passing game, this has to go to South Carolina. All right, let's pick up the pace a little bit as we get into the lines. Just real quick. The offensive line of Arkansas versus D-line of South Carolina.
Like I was telling Alex earlier, that Arkansas's line is just big. I mean, it's obvious with that running game that they're going to have a good line. They line up 6'5", 305, 6'4", 318, 6'4", 305, 6'4", 316, and 6'6", 335. The smallest guy on the depth chart is 6'2", 300, and that's the backup center. So they're huge, and it's kind of what we were talking about Clemson a little bit earlier with the run game. Clemson's got the same thing. I think an offensive line like that is every offensive coordinator's dream because it buys time, it makes holes, and I think that's what the offensive line is going to do for Arkansas.
Just real quick,
go ahead.
If Jasper is bringing forklift to get the hot sauce, how much is Stanley Doty bringing to this game?
That was my next point. That is actually the profile that's going to be running in the Gamecock this week is on Stanley Doty. This is the game. The thing about Carolina is I'm going to go ahead and concede it because you're going to go ahead and say it that Arkansas is going to win this battle because I believe they will.
Right.
The thing that they need, Stanley Doty to be big in the middle, and I don't mean playmaker big. I mean big. I'm talking physical, strong. The only thing I can give South Carolina on this is when they start doing toss sweeps to the outside, South Carolina is quick enough at D-line to pursue quicker than the lineman for Arkansas can come around to block. That's the only thing I will give them on this, is that South Carolina on the edge is is quicker than Arkansas's O-line can be to stop them. And I think that gives South Carolina an edge. Up the middle, that's where they're going to have the problem with guys like Doty and stuff, because Doty's not going to be able to play every down that the defense plays. But when they do, and when they run up the middle, they're going to need him to be big. But on the edge, I think South Carolina's got a little bit of an advantage here. But overall, I'll go ahead and concede Arkansas's got the edge on this.
All right, well, South Carolina did a pretty good job of shutting down Tennessee's running game this past week, but I think that may have been more of just a play calling situation from David Cutcliffe. That they just decided that they had a better chance at beating Carolina through the air than running on the ground. So I mean, just looking at the size and the experience, you got to go with Arkansas on this. Now switching the side to with South Carolina's on offense, we're just going to go ahead and concede the offensive line battle because I don't really want to go down that road again.
No, let's not.
So let's just go ahead and jump in with we'll save the marquee matchup for the end. So let's go with running backs versus linebackers.
All right, well, Arkansas definitely brings a lot at linebacker in Sam Olajubutu.
I was impressed by that.
I
That's pretty
practiced
good.
before the show. He didn't play against Louisiana Monroe because of injury, but he's back, and he's supposed to be back at 100%. Leads the team in tackles, 72. He's got 5.5 for a loss, 1.5 sacks, and he's got 12 quarterback hurries. I was looking at their team quarterback hurries. They have 71 compared to their opponent's 14.
Wow.
Like, they're in the backfield.
71 quarterback hurries on the season?
71 quarterback hurries on the season. Absolutely. I mean, he's got 12 of them. He's almost got more than their opponents. But and then you've got Weston Dacus, I guess, with 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles, and Matt Hewitt. Linebacking core is pretty solid at Arkansas.
I'll agree with you there. They are a pretty solid group. But the thing about Carolina, and part of the reason why I believe we lost the Tennessee game last week was because the running game was working early, and then they stopped using it. They basically said to Corey Boyd, you're done for the night. You might as well just go in there and block. And that was all he did the rest of the game. I think he was going to have a pretty big night. He already had like 65 yards in the first quarter or the first quarter and a half, something like that. So I think Carolina's running game's coming around. Boyd would have had 100 yards last week if they would have consistently run the ball later in the game, but they didn't. Now, as far as the quarterback hurries and stuff, that means Savell is going to be doing a lot of running this week, so he might as well get used to it. That means Blake Mitchell's not going anywhere near the sidelines.
Right.
Okay, he might as well just stay in the locker room because he's not going in. If anything, they'll put Corey in at quarterback if it comes down to
Kenny.
it. Or
Why
Kenny.
not?
Kenny,
Yeah.
because they're going to need somebody that can run, and that's going to be a big thing. But I think Carolina's running game has definitely progressed. I think it would have been better last week if they would have stuck to it. And I think that maybe not sticking to it might have hurt them a little bit just for confidence-wise for going into this game. But I think that Corey's going to have a pretty solid game this week. I really do. I believe that after what they did to him at Tennessee, he wants to come out and just say, look, you guys got 2, they've only got 1, and I'm just as good as you are.
Right. I don't think there's any doubt that Corey Boyd wants to be in it, but we've kind of been talking about this the entire season. Like, he has to be due for a game. And we keep on saying it. He just, whether it be the play calling or, I don't think it's on Corey's end because, like you're saying, the runs he had in that game were just phenomenal.
He was running like a man possessed there at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
over.
He was dragging tacklers a good 5 yards downfield.
But
he really hasn't changed a game this season.
right.
in
So
my
I'm
opinion.
gonna
He
go ahead
hasn't
and call
changed
this
the game.
a push, just because I think that. If the play calling goes right, if Spurrier sticks to the run game, which I think they're going to need to establish more balance in their play calling, then instead of just let's hike it to Savell and let him scramble and hope that he figures something out. So I'm going to give this a push, but talent is there for Corey Boyd to make this an edge for Carolina.
By the way, just for the record, Corey Boyd did change a game this year. It's called a tip ball in the arms of Jonathan Wade. But that's neither here nor
yeah,
there.
there you go. Hopefully hopefully for Carolina,
He did
there
force
won't
a fumble against
He did
Auburn,
force a
too.
fumble.
That
be. He
was-
almost changed that.
He basically did, minus the fact that they didn't win.
right.
Yeah.
That's true.
If you forget that part of the story.
All right. Well, I guess now we get to kind of the marquee matchup, or at least from South Carolina's
Yeah, on this
perspective.
side of the ball.
We have Savell and Sidney and Kenny and all that crew versus Arkansas's pretty stout defensive backfield.
Yeah, you got Chris Houston, Randy Kelly, Michael Grant, and Material. I guess it's Material Richardson.
Huh.
Michael Grant's got 3 picks on the season. Richardson's got a pick. And to be honest with you, I don't know which guy they were talking about at practice last night, who they were talking to Sydney about, who benches 400.
I think it was number 24, whoever that is.
24. For some reason, I remember hearing Grant, which would make sense because, I mean, he's got 3 picks on the season.
Right.
Sounds like a pretty stout player. But seriously, a defensive back bench pressing 400 pounds, that's unheard of.
That's ungodly.
Yeah, so the defensive backs are pretty solid, and they also get in the backfield. I think I saw that combined, the 4 of them have 3 sacks. So very, very fast, very physical defensive back crew for Arkansas.
Well, I think that plays right into South Carolina's hands in this one because I think Tennessee was pretty physical last week, and Sidney Rice had a pretty great game. I mean, that catch that he had that was going down the sidelines, Savell leads him on that one. It's a touchdown, but since he underthrows him, he's got to play physical, and I thought that was a fantastic catch. I thought Tennessee played a little too physical with some of their little pass interferences and holding calls that did or did not get called either way. And I think this kind of matches up that same way. I think that this is a crew that has a very big resemblance to Tennessee in just the way they play, the tempo they play, how physical they play. I think that this plays into South Carolina's hands. I think that, hey, we saw Mike West catch a touchdown last week. Who knows? Anything's possible all of a sudden.
That's a good point.
True.
Savell Newton spreading the ball around pretty well. And I think you put Mike West, who's got 1. I'm going to keep saying it until I die. Jared Cook, who's got 1. And Kenny McKinley, who's got a few. And then you put Sydney in there. I think this kind of matchup plays right in their hands. I think it's going to be a pretty good matchup. I think Carolina might have the edge a little bit in this one, but it's going to be a great one. It's going to be who comes down wanting the ball more, basically.
Yeah, you look at those touchdowns, Mike West and Noah Whiteside.
Yeah.
Should have told me that would have been the case.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I think I have to give the edge to South Carolina on this one, albeit a slight one, just because from what I saw in the Tennessee game, I don't know. It was just like Savell, you talked about how they have all these quarterback hurries. I wish I had a stat for the hurries that Tennessee had, but they never, until I guess that very last drive when they just decomposed.
Right.
They never were able to get a hold of them.
Yeah.
So every game I see Savell, it seems like he's getting more and more like himself. I mean, he'll never be what we saw last year. Like
Right.
I remember seeing that video on game day. His feet were just ridiculous.
Oh my
They were just
gosh.
incredibly fast. We're never going to see that again. But he's getting more and more into himself as a runner, and so I think less for his passing and more for his running.
Right.
I got to give this to Carolina.
The other thing about Savell is he's becoming a leader. And, I mean, you see him on the sidelines, and we saw it at the Auburn game, and we all thought, well, maybe it's just because it's a big game and he really wants it. But the more you watch him on the sidelines, the more he's like, all right, give me the ball. Let's go back on the field. Give me the ball. I'm going to do this. Give me the ball. Put me under center. We're going now. And he yells at guys, and he slaps guys in the chest, and he slaps guys on the helmet, and he tells them, look, we're going out there. We're going to win this ball game. Now, it hasn't always played out into his favor, but who knows? Maybe he's due for that leadership to kick into full and for the big victory to come. Who knows?
All right. Well, do you want to do picks now, or do you want to take a quick break and do picks?
Well, one little mention of special teams.
Oh, special teams. All right, we can do special teams.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and say this game is not going to come down to special teams because Arkansas managed to miss 3 field goals against Alabama and still won that game. So that's a little ridiculous to miss 3 field goals in a game and win, especially in an overtime game.
Yeah.
But
didn't Suckup hit another 50-yarder last week?
he did.
Yes.
He had a pretty amazing. It was wasn't it 51 or 52?
Granted, he had the wind at his back.
Had the wind at his
Back-to-back weeks of field goals over 50 yards, I think it's
He
pretty
put it
impressive.
right
definitely.
down the middle and up against the, almost into the crowd. So
Right. No, he kicked.
an amazing kicker. Suckup, he's not getting enough credit like he did earlier in the season for beating Mississippi State soul-handedly. But do you want to take a break before we pick?
We'll do picks, and then we'll do picks for the rest of the conferences and the
Sounds
national
good.
picks. So we'll take a quick break and be right back, I guess.
This is the kind of immaturity and unprofessionalism that was associated with the SGTV years ago. And it's not going to happen again. I will take away keys. Okay, this is not funny.
Hey, Drew.
Why are you smiling? This is not funny. This is a waste of student television fees.
We paid for it.
Out of your own money, you paid for this.
Yes.
Well, what about the air?
The air?
Yes, the air that costs money. I was away doing a good TV show, and you guys come in here and f*** up my office. If it's not cleaned up by 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to come back and take pictures, and there's going to be hell to pay.
Did you get all that? Every second. Good.
I wasn't mad. Come on, guys. I was pretending to be mad.
See
Come
you
on.
on VH1, asshole.
Come on, guys. Oh, f*** me.
Let's get to your woodshed.
Okay.
It's time for some excitement.
All right.
Get the hot sauce.
We got 8 minutes of fury. Drew Brees, he's a little peeved, and I would be too. But, you know, his mom is completely ridiculous. This guy, his mom, I can't even bring myself to speak. His mom is using him. His mom that he doesn't even talk to, their relationship is, quote, non-existent, is using him to run for Senate, is it? No. What's she running for?
For like some kind of district attorney
District,
position.
oh yeah, in Texas. Okay. And she's using him in his TV commercials without his permission. Didn't ask him, didn't say anything about it. Just didn't have, oh man. So he's, this non-existent mother of his, they've been detached for 6 years, is now using his picture in her commercials and saying that she wants to have this connection to football because it shows that she has these values of hard work, and that's what her football playing son has, and that's what she's had. Absolutely ridiculous. That is stupid. You have to. Oh, that peeves me. Stop using your child when you probably just want him to come back home and take some of his money, and I don't know. I'm not happy with the situation.
Okay. Just a quick question, Matt, for you. How big is Drew Brees?
How big it, like physical size?
Yeah. His size.
I don't know. It probably.
Okay, he's 6'209".
6 foot.
Now, imagine, and that's not huge. That's not small though.
I'm 6'2".
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Imagine carrying around a small version of that for 9 months. Then,
Shut up.
then
I hate you, Tom.
having
Tom.
to go.
People.
No.
If this is your point, then I'm gonna stand up and leave.
Then
Tom.
having to go through the process that none of the gentlemen in this room will ever have to deal with,
Oh
which is
my
having
gosh.
this thing come out of our body. Then tell me
Well,
that you don't
let's not talk
deserve.
about it.
Oh, Matt. Like I hear
You are killing me, Tom.
I hear all the time about women talking about how the pain threshold necessary to have birth is just ridiculous.
Oh my god.
Drew Brees' mother went through this situation to make little Drew Brees, the little quarterback who could.
A little quarterback who could. Are you a
See-
children's novelist now?
I am John the
Oh, John.
I'm Tom Binning. I write children's books.
raised this little quarterback to be a big quarterback. And all right. So
Oh
they
my
had a little falling out
can't
about
believe this is
6 years
this
ago.
is live on.
And he claims she wanted to be his agent. That was just the mama looking out for her boy. That's all. It's not like in this commercial she's saying Drew Brees supports me. It's just a picture of her son
Oh,
who
shut
she
up.
went through labor to bring him into this world.
Tom.
That's
first
all I'm
off,
saying.
Just to
She should have jurisdiction over whatever picture she wants of him.
just to prove any lack of validity in that argument is that it doesn't matter how large he is now. We don't know how big Drew Brees was when he was born. What if he was premature? What if he was a very small child?
Well, then she had to go through all that emotional trauma.
Whatever. We're not talking about the birth of Drew Brees. We're talking about his psychopathic mother that's using him to win an election, and they don't even have a relationship.
Well,
and then
all right.
she goes on in the article
you
to
just
say,
hit the nail on the head when you said psychopathic, by the way, because this is in Texas, right? And she's trying to become the attorney general.
Right.
And she's saying that, her son has all these values and such. The only values you need in Texas are the willingness to kill. That's basically what it comes down to Texas law, remember? So basically what she's doing with her son is, who knows? I mean, why would you? Who cares about Drew Brees in Texas? I mean, seriously. If she was running for this in Louisiana, okay, now we got a problem. But you're running for it in Texas. All this does is provide the opposition, whoever that is, man, woman, child, whatever, that is running against this woman with enough
probably
fuel,
not a child.
With enough fuel.
I don't know.
It's Texas.
It is
Little Attorney General.
Everything's bigger in
The
Texas.
little attorney general that could. Tom.
All this does is provide the opposition with fuel because
Stupid.
if Drew, why wouldn't? Okay, if my son is say Drew Brees, okay,
Right.
and I'm running somewhere and our relationship is not strained, okay, I'm gonna have him in the commercial with me, sitting down. My dad is a great whatever. So your relationship is strained. So all you do is throw a picture up and say, "Hi, I'm whoever. My son's Drew Brees." What point does that prove? But now what the opposition's got is, well, why can't Drew be here to film the commercial with her? That would provide some fuel. That's all this is doing.
She's
She's
a
stabbing
terrible
her own
psychopathic lady.
Right.
Okay.
She's stabbing herself in the foot by putting her son up there. Nothing more than that.
All right, Broom has weighed in on the matter. He says, who took little Drew Brees to little football practice? Who consoled little Drew Brees when kids at school were teasing him about the huge birthmark on his face? When you consider that birthmark, think how bad that was on her end, okay? All right, now my last point before we go, because we're up against the wall as far as our show here.
We're running out of hot
I'm
sauce.
about to cut you off.
This is for a legitimate political campaign. This isn't some little
Shut up.
pamphlet that she's giving
Shut
out
up.
as a hooker or anything. Like, you could come sleep with Drew Brees' mother. This is for a legitimate political campaign. Drew Brees just needs
wish
to
we had a
calm
legitimate
down.
radio
So was Arnold
show.
Schwarzenegger, but he's still Arnold Schwarzenegger.
We're leaving.
All right,
Get
Show's
out of here.
over.
the hot sauce bottle is empty. I just dominated the woodshed again.
You've been listening to Capital City Sports Talk. We're here every Tuesday from 4 to 6. And no, hookers do not give out
Yeah, actually they
pamphlets.
do in Vegas.
Oh, well, there you go.
And you've been to
Obviously, I'm
Vegas.
not well cultured.
I know someone who has.
You've been listening to Capital City Sports Talk with Matt Moore and Tom Benning. We'll be back next Tuesday from 4 to 6, so you can watch us on TV at 8 o'clock on Thursday, or thedailygamecock.com, where we'll have a streaming video of the show later on in the week. For Tom, I'm Matt. We'll be back next week.